it's Paula. You found my channel Stitching in High Heels, where I talk about my love of needlework in all its forms. If you're new here, welcome. I hope you find something that you like and that you'll stay for a while. If you're a returning friend, thanks so much for coming back and spending part of your day with me. I really appreciate it. There's so much great content out there that I'm really glad you choose me. So this week is going to be all about cross stitch, although I have, if you've seen my previous videos, I have been continuing some of my knitting adventures. Just don't have anything really good to show today. Today is Sunday, March 8th. Can anybody else, is anybody else surprised it's March and we just, in the United States, we just shifted to daylight savings time already? Not sure where the year's going at all. So again, welcome. It's just about 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the afternoon here in the Catskills area of New York. Got some pretty decent light. It's still a little cloudy here today, but we finally have a taste of spring, and I did see some sunshine earlier today. So hopefully we're moving out of the cold weather. So with that being said, got a few notes over here. Also have a drink since my throat tends to get a little scratchy when I talk. But let's dive in and see what we've got to share. I believe, and if I'm mistaken, I apologize, but I believe the last time that we were together, I had most of Pretty Little Chicago by Satsuma Street finished, except for this building in here because I had run out of the color that I was using. So I did finish it, and here's where we're at. This is stitched on 16 count, I think Stormy Clouds Ada by Zweigart. It's one of their standard printed fabrics. You can see a little bit of the modeling there. It's stitched 2/2 with mostly the called for DMC. There were a couple colors that I didn't have, and I just substituted one that's lighter or darker. A couple other changes that I made. These clouds are supposed to be filled in with white, and I didn't do that. I felt with the fabric that I'm using, it was really just fine the way that it is. And then these buildings here that are supposed to be in the background, I did them with 1 strand of floss instead of 2, kind of make them not as pronounced. And I like the effect. So this is a finish. I'm not sure how I'll be FFOing it or displaying it. We'll see. I thought about doing a flat fold. I thought about taking a page out of Laura, Stitching by the Shore, and a couple other people that I follow, taking a page out of their books, so to speak, and doing some scrapbook finishes, having almost like a portfolio. Still a little intimidated by that, but I may try that. That may be one of the pieces that I do that. I did start it when Andrew, the runner stitcher, was running the Chicago Marathon, and a group of us chose to stitch while he was running. Also, Chicago is one of my favorite cities to visit, although I haven't been there in quite a while. So that's all kind of why I did that. Jody Rice's pieces are always a fun stitch, and I loved every bit of that. But it's not necessarily something that I'm going to frame. So we'll see where that goes. And then another piece that was almost finished the last time we met was Turtle Doves, also by Satsuma Street. This is one of her ornament kits. I stitched it using all of the kit materials. I did have a mistake, so I'm glad she uses regular DMC floss because I ended up frogging quite a bit and had to pull a strand of the purple floss from my own stash, but really easy to do when it's DMC. So that is completely finished. All I had to do was the beading and the sequence, so I did do that. And it was actually, I think March 1st that I finished it. So it was one of my whip go calls for February. Didn't quite make it by February. I just didn't have time to sit down with the beads. I don't do that when I sit in the living room and watch TV with my husband because we have dogs, and one of them tends to want to come up on the couch with us exactly when he would cause the most havoc. And we all know how that goes with beads, right? But anyway, so that is finished. And then I had explained for anyone who's been with me since the first of the year. I decided I wanted to make sure I touched all my existing WIPs or works in progress. This year I started with 32. So I finished Pretty Little Chicago. I have UFO'd one. I started doing a temperature stitch for 2024, a chart that Fox and Rabbit released to their Patreon members. I've just kind of lost the interest in going back that far. I like the chart. I like what I was doing with it, so I will probably do that at some point in the future. But I'm not continuing with the project that I had started. So I'm down 2 already. But the piece that was called for the week right after we met was Edith Wolford by The Silver Lining, Mark Sostat. And I think I've said it before, I'm not always a huge fan of irises. I love flowers. Irises just aren't a big thing for me. But I love Mark's color usage, and I really wanted to see what colors he would put together to make this piece. So I did pull it out. Let's see, I've got it the right way up here. And I did all of these blue stitches. I didn't have a ton of stitching time that week. I went to Disney World, ran a 5K Run Disney event with my best friend, and that meant that I flew down Wednesday evening and came back Saturday evening. So I really only had Sunday and Monday that I worked on this. But I'm really happy with my progress. I love that color blue that's in there. And the way I'm working through the decision wheel, I think I forgot to say that part. Anyway, I spin a wheel. I have all my WIPs on a wheel. Spin the wheel, spend a week working on each one, and then move on to the next. So I should get through all of them once, and hopefully many of them twice. Like I said, I started with, I think, 32. I'm down to, so we'll see. And then I've been kind of having a hard time settling on pieces to work on. I mean, I've got my pulls, I've got my new Whip Go calls, but it just was feeling kind of unsettled. So I picked up, just because it appealed to me, I picked up, this one's been a whip. It's way older than it should be. But this is Jim Shore Snowman, kitted by Mill Hill. There were 4 in the series. There's a reindeer, a Santa, a Christmas tree, and the snowman. I believe I have all 4. Maybe I only have 3. But anyway, they came out in 2014, and I started this one as soon as I got it. That's where it is. And these kits came with Aida instead of perforated paper. So it's a, let me see, I don't think it's 14 count for some reason. Kit includes middle glass beads. It's 18 count. So this is 18 count navy blue Aida. And here's where I'm at. So I worked down, I just got the background and then all the beading. So I worked down this side here a little bit more and did this, started over in this corner here. So nice progress. There's going to be a ton of beads on this. It's going to be so sparkly when it's done. But this was, Aida's pretty easy to see. This was good to pick up and work on when I didn't have a lot of concentrated time. It's easy to pick up and put down. So I worked on it during some conference calls at work. I'm not sure. I may keep it out for that again this week. We'll see what calls to me. And then yesterday there was a Zoom get together for attendees of this coming October Queen City Stitch Retreat, the Teresa Wentzler themed retreat. And while we were Zooming, couldn't figure out what I wanted to work on. Didn't really want to work on the snowman. And Wentzler is not a good piece for me to be working on while I'm chatting and paying attention to other things. So I decided to pull out Miss Pink Mushroom by Nora Corbett. And I started her at last year's retreat with Kelly, Pages and Stitches. We've had a tradition of starting a piece each year at a retreat. This was what we chose. We chose one of the mushrooms. Kelly's actually doing the red mushroom. I forget exactly what her name is, but I picked this one. And ironically, orange is not my favorite color. And except for her cap, she's got a ton of orange. I'm stitching this 2/2 on 32 count. Hold on a second, sorry. This is by Fiberlicious. It is Sepia, I'll look at the tag here, Sepia Sorcery. And this was an exclusive fabric for the Harvest Moon Hangout hosted by Lindy Stitches. And I love how this is looking on that. And there's where I'm at. I did most of the darker orange, which is DMC 740, yesterday. So I'm doing this 2/2 with the called for DMC. So she's a good piece for zoom stitching. She's doesn't have quite as much shading as some of the big Mirabilia Fancy Ladies. But it's nice. I got a fat quarter of that fabric, so I can do one of the other. There's 3 mushroom ladies in that series. I can do one of the other ones on this. And then I have a really nice piece of a mossy green even weave that I think I'm going to do the red one on, but I think the other 2 will be on this piece. So got some good progress on her. Technically I could kind of skip her spin on the wheel, but I think I'm going to leave her there. She's always fun to look at. And then I don't really have anything to show you about this week's piece. This week's piece was Holly and Ivy Sampler by Teresa Wentzler. And this came out, I don't have the release date on the cover here, but I bought this when it came out, kitted it up, and started it. And it is any of you who have stitched a Teresa Wentzler, this is very much a Teresa border. And here's where it's been at. I did not actually put any stitches in it. I'm stitching 2/2 on a piece of 28 count Lugana. I believe the color was mint green. It was discontinued when I bought it. I bought the last piece that the shop I was in had. And I didn't get any stitches in, but I did buy the PDF for this piece from Everything Cross Stitch, and it does go into Markup RXP. So I got it in, updated the key because Markup does not recognize blends, but you can put them in manually. So I got the key updated, and I had everything that I have stitched marked off. So when this comes up again, or I want to pull it out, I'm in a really good place to actually start working on it. There's going to be back stitching in that corner that I was in. There's tons of little leaves in there. It's all holly and other types of leaves. So I feel like I'm in a really good spot to move forward with that the next time it comes up. And I'm satisfied with that. Had a little bit of a problem, which was not the fault of the software. When I downloaded my PDF originally, something must have glitched just a little bit because I couldn't get anything marked off in RXP. I went to the Facebook page, did a quick search, found some other people that had that issue in the past, and it wasn't the software, the file was corrupted. So I deleted it, downloaded it again from Everything Cross Stitch, and I was able to get everything done and marked off. So it took a little bit of time, but well worth the effort. And on the 25th of March, gosh, I feel like I'm flying through this, sorry guys, Jessie Marie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff called the next 2 numbers for Whipco, which is a bingo style game where you get 2 numbers a month and you work on whatever you assign to those numbers in a bingo style box. I, for the last several years, have done a board with ornaments on it, and I'm continuing that this year. That works well for me. I get ornaments stitched. I really need to do something about finishing them, but I get ornaments stitched, and I enjoy it. And those are the pieces. I work part-time as a 911 dispatcher, and these are the pieces that I generally take with me to work on when the phones aren't busy. So the first call for this month is Snow Puppy by Cross My Heart Designs. It's there, and make note of what that little dog looks like. And this is from the 2006 2007 issue? 2000, no, sorry, 2003 issue. So this is from the 2003 Just Cross Stitch ornament issue. I had two ornaments out sitting on my, two issues out sitting on my desk, and I couldn't remember which one was which. And when my husband and I began dating, and even after, well, up until 3 years ago, I believe it's 3 years ago, maybe 4, he had a little black and white dog named Zoe, and I will put a picture of Zoe in, wrong way, over here. And I decided to update this because the expression on the face reminded me very much of Zoe. So I decided to update this to be a little black and white dog to look like Zoe. And I'm pretty happy with how that came out. So I started this last week. Now I've got to do the Christmas tree and the border. But yeah, I'm really, really pleased with how this came out. I'm not sure if I'll get it finished this week. My two calls this month were some bigger pieces with a little more stitching than usual, but we'll continue on with that. And then I have another start. In Laura Stitching by the Shore, I'll link her down below. She has a Facebook group, and someone had suggested that for the month of March, anybody who wanted to stitch on a piece by Carolyn Manning, pull it out, start it, stitch on it, just kind of stitch together and make some progress on those pieces. And I initially was going to pass because I said, well, I don't have any Carolyn Manning pieces. I'm not buying anything this year. And then I remembered that I think in 2023, 2022, she did a stitch along. She called it My Grandma's Jewelry Box. And there were 12 parts. And all the little parts were based on costume jewelry. So they're all... I think they're 43 by 43 is what the size is. So this is the January piece, and look at those colors. Aren't they gorgeous? That's what it'll look like. So I had said, yeah, I can jump in on this start along. This will be great. So I pulled this out, and I found a piece of a very long, thin piece of 28 count opalescent Lugana. This came off the bottom of piece of fabric I used to make Biscornu for last year's table gifts for Queen City, and I pulled the colors. Hold on, let me get these so you can see them all here a little bit. My threads don't stay pretty the way other people's do. Sorry, guys. So here's all the floss colors, and aren't they just beautiful? You can't. I pulled just a couple strands of each one, but there's, DMC 333 and some of the turquoises and the blacks. And I did not have the metallic called for, so I pulled this one from my stash, which is 041, which is kind of a blue, green, gold blend. If you can see it there, it's not focusing real well. Let me see. Yeah. But anyway, I think it works really nicely. And here's how far I got on it. So it's nice that they're small. I'm just going to do, this is the remains of, I think it was a fat half. So I'm just going to do as many pieces as will fit on here and probably finish it as a bell pull. So again, here's where I'm at. So I'm not sure how many of these are going to be. I'm not sure if I'm going to go in order, just pull the ones with my favorite colors. But here's the first one. So there'll be a little bit more metallic, some floral type looking bits, and some beads. So there's that. And that's pretty much everything I worked on since we were together last. So I've been thinking about, I've got some pieces that are calling me to start, and I was thinking about pulling them and showing them to you guys, but I didn't get that done this morning. But I will talk about, for plans, what am I missing here? Oh, for plans. So this week's, sorry, things are stacked all over on my table here. So this week's call is Walk with Dog by Artisy. I started this as part of Sebastian's birthday stitch along last year in August. Sebastian has a FlossTube Stitches with B's and T's, I believe is the name. I'll link it down below. And Sebastian wanted to work on an Artisy piece and invited us all to stitch on anything by Artisy or anything with a dragon. So this is artwork by Leonid Afremov. I know you've seen Heaven and Earth has charted a couple of his pieces. Farewell to Anger is one. There was another one I saw somebody working on this week. And Artisy has a great many of them. And I just love the way he uses the color in this. So this is what this is going to be. I'm stitching this piece 1/1 on, now that I talk about it, I forget if it is 20 count or 22 count Aida. Just plain white because it's full coverage. And when I started it in August, I got 217 stitches in, all in DMC 939. And I'm using Markup RXP for this, obviously because it's a full color coverage. It loaded in perfectly, so it should be easy for me to pull this out and get a bunch of stitches in. So that's where we're at starting on that. So I'm going to work on that this week, and then next week, of course, we'll have another piece called. My second, so I'm going to continue on Snow Puppy, and then my second Whip Go call for this month is Partridge and Pear by Satsuma Street. And this is another one I have the whole kit for, so I will be using all of the kit materials, and that'll be some fun colors. And then I did pull something else to show you guys. This was a piece from, I believe it was from Market last year. It's a blue flower. Hold on, let me see if I can find the release date. 2023, so it was not last year, it was the year before. But this is Hedgehog and Hyacinth by the Blue Flower. And this reminded me of a pretty little spring piece, and it's not very big, it's 55 by 59. And I purchased the thread pack with it. It has 3 Cottage Garden needlework threads and then 2 shades of DMC. And I have it kitted with a really pretty piece of light springy green. Wow, that's blowing out. Let's see. It's not showing. Let's see. Does that make it show up any better? Anyway, it's a really pretty spring green fabric that I had in my stash, so I might give that a start as well in the next 2 weeks. That's pretty much it for me. Life stuff, it's been kind of busy. Like I said, I did go to Florida last weekend, ran the 5K because it was Princess Weekend, and I did the 5K because the princess, she's on the medal and everything, was Merida from Brave. And she's my spirit princess, curly little red-headed girl with a huge independent streak. You know, what's not to love? So she's my princess, and I kind of had to do it. So that was fun. I had a trip with my best friend and another one of her friends that we've done races with before. So it was fun. It was good to go, have a little break from the cold. It was also really good to come back. At the same time I was doing that, we were hoping to be purchasing a house in Tennessee. I've talked about that before. We're looking to move to eastern Tennessee. We did go into contract on the house, and the inspection came back with more issues than we wanted to deal with, so we passed on the deal. We are continuing to look and get everything here ready to sell, and hopefully by the fall we will be in eastern Tennessee. So if you all are interested in sending some good thoughts for us that way, that this happens quickly and easily, we'd appreciate it. And I'll keep you guys updated here. Other than that, like I said, spring is coming, and I'm going to keep working on what I'm working on. You know, I'm hoping to finish off the second sock in the pair that I started this week, so that I can show that to you guys. I didn't bring it up because there really wasn't, I mean, it doesn't look exciting, right? It's a sock and a heel, you know, leg and a heel. But I'm enjoying that, kind of a little bit obsessed with that, so that is taking some time from some of my stitching. But it's enjoyable and relaxing. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Working you know, we're both working and like I said, getting ourselves ready to move, so that's also taking from some stitching time. And so that's it for here. I'm not sure if anyone saw the news, but there was quite a large tornado outbreak in Michigan on Friday night and Saturday. Sorry about that, guys. My camera battery died. I was trying to get through this. I'm eventually going to need a new camera here. But trying to get through this and not spend money on a camera right now until I figure out, you know, till we get everything settled. But anyway, there was a tornado outbreak in Michigan. Unfortunately, that's part of, you know, season change, right, is weather problems. And so thinking about the communities in Michigan that were affected, there's some really severe damage. The video and photos are just scary. So thinking about everyone who was affected by that, and hoping they are able to recover. You know, property damage is devastating, but there were also some fatalities. So, you know, thinking about that. And other than that, I hope you're stitching. I hope you're safe. I hope you're well. Work on what makes you happy. If you're in an area where spring is arriving, let's use it, you know, make sure you get outside and enjoy that a little bit as temperatures allow. And if you're in an area where winter is approaching and it's fall, I hope you're able to spend some time outside before the cold of winter arrives. So, since I'm rambling, I'm going to say that's it for me. Keep stitching. I'll see you in a couple weeks. Love ya. Bye.